Hello everybody, my name is Arglen and welcome back to Polylympics 2. Oh god, it's taken me so long to get this done. We're finally going to over-engineer the Polylympics. I completed every single event that was in the official Polylympics, completely over-engineered now, and I'm just here to show you what I have done for all those different events. So today we're going to be covering the hurdle run event. Before we actually get into over-engineering though, we had a few suggestions from people that I want to cover up first, and they're actually pretty funny. So first off, I got a comment from a few people asking for a first-person mode on my solution, or my submission, sorry, to the Polylympics. There was a second suggestion that I got, which was, could I just take the time penalty and just ram the car all the way through every single one of the hurdles? And that is like a ridiculous idea, but I tried it and it actually works. It actually cuts down the time to be below everybody else's scores, which is pretty hilarious. But the reality is if I actually did this in the original event, the time penalty would have just been increased, so it wouldn't have really mattered. Anyways, enough of that pretty face stuff. Time to get to the over-engineering. So the first thing that I'm doing here, as you can see, is I'm creating some pretty large arms. These are arms that are going to be used for the sweeping mechanism, which is a Scott-Russell linkage. Or at least that's what I was basing it on. After doubling up the arms, I created a cellular looping linkage high in the air. I actually also just removed one of them because that was not needed. And then I just need to figure out a way to get the cellular to stay in place. So I just start off by making a fairly simple tower in the sky in this case. And I just strut it down into the ground using a whole bunch of cables. And then after that, I created another arm, which I was going to attach to the Scott-Russell, and also attach a weight onto it, so then it would allow it to tip and then basically power the machine. So now, as you can see, it is able to move, though I did eventually run into some complications. First off, I did have an issue of trying to keep the car in place because it would constantly tip out. There was a second issue, which was that the hurdle was actually getting snagged against the ground, so I just raised all of the road positions just slightly so then I could get it to hop over. I then realized that the cellular lifting linkage on top was too small to actually power the straight line linkage at the top of the Scott-Russell. So I created another Scott-Russell on top of the existing large Scott-Russell, and then I attached the cellular. I also decided to scrap the tower design originally, and I've gone with a design that I usually go with, and I don't know why I didn't go with it originally, which is kind of this fractal muscle shape. And as you can see, I am making a second tower, which will help secure the second half of the Scott-Russell into place, and then I strap down the rest of the two towers to the side of the landmasses. After some more testing, I then realized that I needed more weight, and I also needed to reinforce this quite a lot because the weight was actually getting so problematic that I actually did eventually have to scrap some parts, like for example the actual turning arm that was connecting the weights to the Scott Russell. So again, I'm using the same design that I showed in my submission for the weightlifting event, which is this kind of like cross muscle shape. I also forgot to mention, the reason why this is completely split jointed is because it allows all the nodes to phase into the ground. And afterwards, I just did some reinforcements with the cables, though that would eventually be gutted and refixed again. As you can see, more reinforcements. It's just, you get the point now. It's just reinforcing, reinforcing, reinforcing. I also realized that the little panels that I made out of the floors were a little bit too inclined. It was actually snagging against the car and pulling it off. So I found a solution which basically is almost completely flat, but not quite. Is just enough to allow for the hurdle to actually get over. And as you can see, I managed to get through all 3 hurdles. But now I had the issue of the last one because I expended an extra road to try to keep the car in place. So now I had to just redo the carriage. And as you can see, I'm just readjusting a kind of almost springboard system that kind of pops up into position. And it took a bit of fiddling, but after playing around with a lot of mechanical locks and stuff like that, I did eventually get the road to lock into place. The only problem is now I had to figure out how to balance not only the car between the road wall and the hurdle, but now also the hurdle itself has to not tip over. So that was a whole bunch of issues. Did more troubleshooting, played around more with the road positions, as you can see. Now, while I was still testing this in different road positions and stuff like that, I accidentally, during one of my failed attempts where the car got left behind, the sweeper actually managed to get all the way across, and it just pushed all the hurdles out, and all the hurdles stayed up, which was extremely promising news to me, at least. Now, I just decided to add a little bit more weight to it, which was, again, more problems, because not only did the mechanism break, or some of the cables break, but the weight itself actually broke. That kind of tells you something, how heavy this weight is. But after a while, I got this. I launched the car over the first hurdle, so yes, we're still doing a kind of hurdle run in the end. And then I got it wedged in between the first and the second hurdle, and it just stayed up like that. I don't know how, but it stays up. And not only does just one of them stay up, they all stay up to the end, which is pretty much exactly how I wanted it to go. But now, it's time to test. Is this faster than my other designs? And the answer is yes, it is. I can't believe it actually is faster. I was kind of doubting a lot on this design because as a person who has worked with these massive machines in the past, I didn't think this was going to work because a lot of my machines have to work very slowly and cautiously. And this is a massive piece of machinery that's going at blazing speeds, but it works. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's all that matters. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry that it's been taking me so long. I'm going to be actually starting a new series, hopefully starting next video. So I hope you stick around for when that happens. But anyways, my name is Arglin, your local Durable Poly engineer, and have a wonderful day. Much love. Bye bye.